So today I'm going to do a spurtle, which I just call a spatula because it's flat. One of the best tools ever for stirring just about anything you're cooking. Doesn't matter if it's in a skillet, pot, the curved skewed bottom makes it user-friendly. It doesn't scratch skillets. The only thing is I wouldn't put it in the dishwasher. And that's not because of the water, because you're putting it in a pot of boiling soup or whatever, that doesn't hurt it. The problem with the dishwashers is the dry cycle. You're taking that wet wood and drying it really fast, and they tend to crack when you do that. So anyways, I'm going to show you how you make this. And time permitting, I'm hoping to get to doing a French-style rolling pin. So the trickiest part of this is, there's different styles of these. Some people have them fatter in the middle. Some people don't have any taper on the end at all. It's just a cylinder. I like mine's kind of a combination of both. It's straight as an arrow in the middle, and then I taper the ends a little bit. So we'll get into that. The spurtle, or spatula, and this is a fresh batch I just made up over the last 2 weeks. It starts out from a rectangular blank of wood. I like to use a 13-inch by 1 1/4 by 2-inch blank. And you can see from the line I drew on this, I'm going to get 2 blanks out of this blank. So it doesn't waste that much wood. And what you can do if you don't have 1 1/4 stock, maybe you've only got 1 inch stock, is you can just cut 1 blank out of it. The thing is, you need to have a good 3/16 of an inch down at this end, and you want almost an inch up at the other end when you're done. So what I do with this is I just take my blank, I'll make a little mark at either end, and I take a straight edge, and I draw my line. I go over to my bandsaw, and I just cut that into 2. I'm going to end up with something that looks like this. These are 2 different blanks, but you get the idea. So those are going to come out of one piece of wood. Now you could just put that on the lathe and turn it, but you've got a lot of wood to remove that way. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to remove as much as you can. Now you don't know where those curves are going to be, so the best you can do at this point is come down maybe 3/4 of an inch to an inch, and then come in on this end. And your goal on this end is, however thick this part is, you want the same basic thickness in this direction. So you're basically making a square at this end. So you're going to come in and you're going to scribe lines, and then again you're going to go back to your bandsaw, and you're going to cut those off and get rid of as much material as you can, and you're going to get down to this shape here. And that's what you're going to put on the lathe. Now once you've turned something that you like, you've turned it and you like that shape and you're like really happy with it, the way it turned out, you can take a piece of MDF or Luan or really stiff cardboard, anything you want, trace that out on a pattern. I just happen to do it on one of my wedge-shaped blanks. And you can see I've traced, you can see the pencil lines on that. I've traced this hundreds of times. But that's what I got. So then you're going to take your pattern, and you're going to go to one of your wedges, and you're going to trace that straight onto that wedge or your bandsaw. And now I'm getting rid of significantly more wood with the bandsaw, so I have a lot less wood to get rid of on the lathe, so it just goes a lot quicker. I'm going to go ahead and turn this blank today just because that's how you're going to be starting out. That's what you're going to do in your shop. And let's do it. So this is poplar. I don't usually use poplar for kitchen things, but for this project it works pretty good. What I've done, I did modify one thing on my lathe. I've taken the center point, if you can see that. I've taken the center point out of the spur drive, Because what happens when a center point goes into this thin piece of wood, it wants to split it. It'll chip off a piece or it'll just split it right down the middle. So you take the center point out, and you're only going to be holding this with 2 of the spurs. I make enough of these, I should just take a spur drive and grind the other 2 spurs off. I think you can even buy just a, can you buy a 2 spur?
I think you can.
Spur drive? Yeah, okay. So, and some spur drives you can't take the middle out. It just happens that this one you could. Some guys will also leave an extra inch or so of wood, and they'll just hold it in the spur drive chuck. But what I find is I got that big chuck in the way, and it's just more awkward to get in there and work. So I do this method. And the 13-inch blank uses every bit of this little lathe. I end up sticking out about an inch off the bed. This is going to be fun. This lathe is missing 3 of the feet. So
oh, really?
Yeah, it's
Oh, you're in the holes. There you go.
okay. I got a whole bunch of wedges, don't I? I think I got it.
Yeah, it was in the holes there. You're good.
I'm not going to get too particular about trying to center this up. I've got enough material that if I just do it by eye, that's pretty good. And then this end, I'm going to bring my tool rest in and try to get this gap the same on both sides. So I haven't driven that in tight yet, so I can still move this in a little bit. Okay. So I can center it up that way pretty good. Now I'm going to crank this in. I don't want to crank it in so far that I start splitting this end out, because that does happen. All right. Just want to make sure it's holding it firm. All right. I did not check the speed. I like to do this at a higher speed. So that's at the second setting on this lathe, which is the second highest setting, which is 2600. And as we say in wood turning, you're cutting a lot of air on this project because you got this little thin, flat guy here. I like to use a skew for this. Just about any time I'm doing spindle work where I have nice gradual tapers or curves, the skew is my go-to tool for that because I'm able to just slide it across the tool rest and ever so slightly adjust my height of my cut and get that nice gradual curve. The gouge, I find harder to get those gradual curves. So if you are afraid to use the skew or just not confident enough to do it, either use a gouge. But you're going to get a rougher surface off the gouge. When you get down to these diameters, you can see that on the camera. I'm not able to bend it that much right now, but it starts to bend in here quite a bit. So any tool, and another thing about the skew is you can take a pretty light shaving with it, where the gouge, I personally find myself taking a heavier shaving with the gouge than the skew. You would not want to use a scraper on this project. You wouldn't want to use the easy tool scraper or the carbide scrapers or anything. And the reason being, anytime you're doing thinner stuff, and you go into that wood with a scraper, which is going to be hitting it at the side, that wood wants to flex, wants to bend and roll up on top of that scraper. It's very difficult to get a decent cut when it's trying to roll up on top of the wood. Whereas a skewer or a gouge, part of your chisel is on top of the wood while you're making the cut. And that's keeping the wood from bending and rolling on top.
You have a radius skew as opposed to a straight cut. Is there a difference there?
Yeah, there's definitely a difference. I mean, basically it's the same cut, but two key things. One, when you're just making a traditional skew cut where you're just going down the wood, if you've only got one angle, you got to adjust the chisel on your body to find the sweet cut where that angle's cutting the wood just right. When that's got that curved grind to it, I can just move up or down generally on that until I get the right angle that's going to cut, and I can stay in a more user-friendly position. Also, that curve lets me do a planing cut, which you'll see when I get to the rolling pins, and a nice pilling cut. It's more user-friendly for both of those than just a straight grind. Did I lose anybody? Okay. So what I like to do is I like to start my work right at about the neck and work up. So I get the paddle done first, and I come and I work my way up the handle. So my grip, I always like to put my pointer finger under the tool rest, and I can pinch the chisel down against the tool rest with my thumb, and I'm gripping it with my middle finger, my ring finger, and that's what I'm going to try to use to control it. But the finger under the tool rest gives me really good control. And I'm going to make light cuts, I don't want to be too aggressive. See how I can just make that gradual, nice smooth curve.
I forgot to lock the casters on that cabinet.
Yeah. I'm used to leaning against my machine while I work. Keeps my whole body steady. Clean up this direction a little bit. And it happens. I got too aggressive. Hardly broke anything out, so we're still in good shape. I probably didn't put that one in far enough.
Did you grind the curve on your skew yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, it was just a straight grind.
And that's just just by the eye curve.
Yeah.
I tend to put my fingers under the tool rest on the grinder and hold this with my thumb. I just go like this through the stone. My thumb's kind of the pivot point, but it's not a real firm pivot point. I kind of let the chisel move where it needs to across that stone as I'm going. So I'm just swinging it through the stone.
You're just making a nice curve.
Yeah. The smaller skew, I grind to a little bit more of an acute point. If you can see that. It's not showing up very well.
Hold it over the
At
wood.
The angle I'm holding it. Yeah, see, it's a little bit more of an acute grind. And on my fatter chisel, my wider chisel, it is, it's more, I'm not able to get the right, it's almost 90 degrees at the point. And that's because I use this one a lot for pilling cuts. And that is just the right angle to just go right down that cut. Whereas the more acute, it kind of wants to dig in as it's going down. All right, so now I've got to realign this. So I'm going to bring my tool rest in again, close up the gap as small as I can, and see that the gap is the same on both sides. Nope. That's pretty close. Let's put that a little bit tighter this time. Okay. Now normally when I'm working with a blank like this, I don't have to come back here and remove all this. I usually just work here, go right up to the end, and then I do the handle, and it goes a lot quicker. So at the neck of the spatula, where the curve transitions from down to up, I usually try to turn it down until I've gotten rid of the flat completely. So at this point, it's going to be round at whatever that thickness is. So you can see I've still got quite a flat here. I need to remove more material. Come on. Sounds like I'm almost there. Yeah. You can see that, yeah. Oh, it's showing up really nice.
Camera looks really good.
Yeah.
I'll take any volunteers that wants to do this job.
All right. So we're going to narrow this down a little bit more, try to get rid of those flat spots. Okay. Now I want to get this curve. Let's shut it off and see what that looks like. See, my curve is a little not very curvy at this point. Now this is starting to get a little bit of a flex to it, so I'm pretty narrow in the middle. So I want to be careful and take a light cut. As you can see how with the skew and the straight edge of the tool rest, I can just kind of slide it along and get that nice gradual curve. That might help a little bit. Okay. I think I have a little bit of a fat spot right there on that curve. Probably can't pick that up on the camera. Yeah, you can see it there. Just right in this zone right here. So I'm going to remove just a little bit more material. All right, you can see I've gotten rid of the flats. I don't know if you can see past the shaving. It's nice around there. There we go. All right, these little teensy ridges you see up along here, those will sand out real easy. Little ridges sand away easy. Little grooves, not so easy. So now I'm just going to work my way up the handle. And at this point, it's somewhat round down here. So if I needed to, I could wrap my hand around it a little bit, a little support if I had to. bringing my left hand in to steady the work a little bit. So I need to remove more material here, but what I want to do first is figure out just what my diameter is at this end. Until I know what that radius is, I don't know what that taper needs to look like. So I'm going to come up here real quick. Still feel just a little flat on there. Okay, that feels pretty good. Now I know where my starting point is as I taper that handle down. Again, I'm using my left hand as a steady. This wants to flex quite a bit. You can't really see what I'm doing, can you?
Yeah, sorry, it's too hard to move the camera all the way around.
I'll just try to do it like this. You can probably see the wood moving as I cut.
Oops. Can you get it?
Yeah, I got it. Just trying to get more light up to this end. You can still see that cut, alright.
Yep.
I can do this without using my hand as a steady. It's just, I gotta take a lighter cut. Go slower. I'm not known for my patience, so I always want to take as much off as I can, as fast as I can. So that's starting to get there. Still got some material to remove down here. Maybe refine that curve a little bit. See me going back and forth a lot, and sometimes there's nothing coming off the chisel. And what I'm doing is I'm just finding where that edge is going to cut and where it isn't. So instead of going in and risk having a catch and taking too big of a cut, I'll go in where it's not making any cut, and I'll just keep going back and forth until I find the right angle to come into the wood. Pretty good. A little fat right here. Now don't be afraid if it's just a little fat in one spot. I've got to sand this anyways, you know, so don't be afraid to take that out with sandpaper if you just have a little bit. I do it all the time. Just refine your curve a little bit with sandpaper if you have to. Sandpaper's a tool, you know, make use of it. Alright. That should be good enough to sand. That'll all come out real nice with sandpaper. Where I was cutting from the left and then to the right, there's always a little rough transition there, but that sands out really easy. I'm going to start sanding this with some 120 grit. So be careful on this that you don't wrap your sandpaper all the way around, because it'll pull your hands into. I've been there. Now I'm pushing against the wood, so I'm using my other hand to counteract that force, so I don't break the spindle here. And this part up here, you'll just have to sand by hand like this. Okay. Make sure that transition's nice and smooth. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Can't really see with that light. There we go. Now I'm going to end up taking off this top like ½ inch or so up here, so I'm not worried about that.
I was going to suggest that a lot of us may not be quite as good at getting a nice curve. If you use like a 6-inch sheet of sandpaper on that.
On this part up here, yeah.
That really will smooth it out nice.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm going to do on the rolling pin. So I'll use a nice stiff, heavy paper, and it'll, yeah, like Tom said, you could have, if I took a nice stiff back piece of paper like this, and I went like this, bend it over a bit, not the whole way over, but a good bit, and I went like that. That would take out any little ups and downs I have. I'm going to go ahead and sand this up through, what's that, 400. I don't know if I brought any, oh there it is, some 180. So I went from 120 to 180, I could have went like 120, 150, but I didn't bring 150. Sand that bit by hand. What I'm doing here is I'm taking the circular scratches out with the same grit I just used. That way when I go to the next grit, if the scratches are all going in the same direction, you go from one grit to the next, to the next, to the next, you don't really realize sometimes that you miss some spots because all the scratches are going in the same way. If I get those scratches out, and you can see this just takes a few seconds to do at this grit. So now I've got all those circular scratches out. When I go to my next grit, I'll make new circular scratches and all the straight scratches going that way will be gone, and then I'll know I got everything. Got a piece of 220 here somewhere. 320, there we go. 400, 220. So at this point I would start working on the top of that handle, so as I'm going up through the grits I can sand that as well. And I usually burn a ring or 2 or 3 on here with a burn wire, which I didn't bring. I think we have one in here. It's not going to be as crisp and sharp of a line, but it'll be a line. A lot of that will probably just sand away on me when I sand it. The wire burns a nice deep groove, it doesn't sand away. Okay, I'm going to use the tip of my skew, and I'm just going to make a mark. And I'm going to go to the right and start making consecutively deeper cuts. Now I'm getting a really thin edge here. It's hard to pick up my cut, so I'm going to lay it flat and do a filling cut. Now I have a better surface here to work on. And I'll just start working my way back the other direction. And what I'm trying to do is dome the end of this handle. So to do that, I'm having to roll the chisel and lift the handle to drop the point as I move through that cut. It's kind of like cutting a bead, but kind of like it, but not quite. All right, now I'm going to finish sanding this. I'm going to move that out of the way. And I'm going to go to some 320. Again, using my left hand to counteract my pushing, I'm going to go back to the 220 and sand this end here. Turn it off and see what that looks like. It's nice and clean. If I had tool marks that the 220 wasn't getting rid of, then I'd go down to a lower grit and work my way back up. But it looks pretty good. So that's 320 there. Go to 400 and we'll be done with that. Where's my 320? Here it is. Gotta sand this with the 320. Sand it with the 400. And I also like to get, even 400 grit will leave little circular scratches, so I like to hand sand that right at the end so that you don't see those. Burn this line a little darker here. There we go. Alright.
Did you put a groove in that? I missed that.
I did not.
Okay.
When I'm using a burn wire, I usually take the tip of my skew and just so gently touch it, and that gives it a pass so the wire's not wandering around.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And then I can just put the wire right in that little nick and burn it in. So here I didn't, and you can see it's not a real even burn, but next time I'll have to remember the wire. So now I'm going to part this off.
Penny will get hot.
Will it? Okay, well this is good enough for the demo. So now I'm going to part this off, and I'm always careful not to part it off right at the finished surface, because when those last couple fibers break away, they pull out, and you end up with a little hole that you can't sand away. So I always like to leave a little nipple sticking out, because that'll sand off real easy. So, probably can't see that on the camera.
Without moving.
Get it down as small as I dare, and then I'll back off and part it. See how I left that little nipple on there? That'll sand off real easy by hand. So where's that 120? I usually just go on a flat surface and alright, there, that's gone. Now you can see I got some tool marks on there. Barely see it on the camera. And I'm just going to take my sandpaper and I'm going to do like a curved motion. And I'm rotating this as I go so I don't make a facet on it. I want it to sand it evenly the whole way around. So I'm rotating the handle as I go. Doing this curved motion with my sandpaper so I don't see any tool marks. And I'll just work up through the grits. Again, I keep with my left hand, I'm constantly turning it to prevent sanding too much in one spot. You can see that's not taking me very long at all to clean this end up. There'll be no sign whatsoever of where I parted it off, or any tool marks, or any pulled out fibers, or anything like that. Bright light is very helpful. So you can see any scratches. And that's the end of the lathe work on this. Now we're going to move to a belt sander. Okay. So, so normally when I use my pattern to trace these out, I've kind of traced my profile for the paddle. You can't see that. Can't see my pencil line on there, can you?
Yeah, just barely. I can zoom in.
Yeah, you guys might see it better this way. I traced the profile of the end of the paddle, and that way when I'm at the belt sander, I know where that needs to be. Let's go ahead and just kind of, like I said, once you've turned one that you like, and you really like you've gone to the kitchen and you tried it, and you really like the way it works, you want to copy that. So I had one that I really liked that angle, and that's what I copied. So I try to stick pretty close to that. Normally I would go over to my bandsaw and I would knock off the majority of this. I didn't want to bring the bandsaw. Okay. Let's set that there, Rich.
You want to lock the other wheel?
You know, I thought I did. I guess I didn't. It must have came unlocked. At home, I've got a dust collection system set up that is going to catch all this crazy dust we're going to make. But here, we're just going to see how dusty we can get our audio equipment. All right. So I'm starting out, I think I got like a 60 grit on there. I would start out with like a 60 or a 50 grit belt. Because you got to remove a lot of material. First step is to get basically the profile the way you like it. Now I need to thin down this paddle because that's just way too thick on the end. I want to make sure I get rid of any of the bandsaw marks. I want a nice smooth surface. So I have to keep checking on that. That side looks good. It's getting a lot thinner. I'm going to work on the other side a little bit. Now I'm making some pretty deep scratches in here with this 60 grit. So I want to make sure I leave enough material that as I work up through the grits, I don't end up with a paper thin paddle at the end of it.
What's a good thickness?
Right now I'm probably a little under an 1/8 inch. In the end I wanted it about a 16th. That looks pretty good. Alright, switch belts. I think my next belt is either a 100 or a 120. So that's an 80. Okay, my next belt's an 80. Let's just jump right up to 150 here. Poplar's pretty soft wood. If this was hard maple or something harder, I'd probably have to use more smaller increments on the paper. So another thing I like to do, when I did the first grade, I was sanding from this side of the sander. And if I do the same thing, again, my scratches are all in the same spots. And it's hard to tell if I got rid of all the 60 grit scratches because all the lines are going the same way. So I'll switch over to this side of the sander now. Now my scratches are 90 degrees from where they were before, and I can tell if I got them all. Probably can't see in the camera. Bring it up close. Yeah, you see how my new scratches are going this way, and my old scratches are going that way, and I can see I haven't gotten rid of all of them. Or I guess I had that backwards. My new scratches are this way, my old ones were this way. But I haven't got rid of them all yet. Up at that corner, there's some going both directions. So that's what you want to look for, and that's why switching your direction of sanding lets you see those old scratches really easily where you might not have seen them before. I do the same thing when I'm sanding bowls. You know, reverse the direction of the lathe or whatever you got to do. Reverse the rotation of your disc sander. Whatever you got to do so your sanding scratches are running in a different direction. Alright. We'll refine this a little bit. I'm getting down a lot thinner. Okay. I'm going to go up to 220 grit. That's the finest I go with the belt sander, and then after that it's just hand sanding. This is a fairly worn belt. I don't know what. I know it's not 220 anymore, but it does the job. Always look at it under a bright light. It's just about there. Alright, got it. So now I'll look at it and I'll see if I need to refine it a little bit. There's a little bump right here I want to get rid of. A little bump right there you can see that I want to get rid of. I might refine that curve just a little bit. I find these parts on the paper between the roller and the table or the bed where it's flexed, where the paper can flex. I find those good for this curve. Quickly run it through there. So now I'm just refining the profile here to get it where I like it. And I'm happy with that. So I'm down to about a 1/16 of an inch thickness, but I don't want that square edge, you know, my cooking tool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bevel it on both sides. I'm going to do that by just kind of gently holding it on the paper and moving through. Still a little thick here. A little bit fat in the middle. A little bit more. It goes away really quick, so you don't want to linger on it too long there. Alright, that's good. So that, all the tool work's done on that. Now I just have some hand sanding, and I'm going to start with some 220 and just hand sand this paddle. Remember, this part up here is done. And those scratches were going at an angle from my belt sander, so I'm going from end to end in this direction, so I can easily see if I've gotten rid of all those angular scratches. got sharp edges I need to get rid of. And these bevels are really sharp looking, maybe not filling, but looking. So I want to take this and sand those corners, ease those a little bit. Use all 4 corners. Usually I'm sitting down at this stage and I just put my leg up and I go like this to the edge of the paddle, round over all those corners. So now it's got a nice soft feel to it and look to it. And I won't go the rest of it, but then I go in at 320, 400 on that. Then I sign them. And then I fill the kitchen sink up with hot water and I dunk them in there for 30 seconds. And what I'm doing is I'm letting the wood swell up, letting the fibers swell up, and then I let them dry overnight. And the next day, I sand them again with 400 grit, just hand sand them. So what I've done is I've pre-swelled the wood and gotten rid of all those high spots. And then when I'm done, I oil it. If I skip that water stage, no matter how much oil I put on there, once I use it and wash it, it's going to feel really rough. Because those fibers are going to still, so even though there's oil on, they're still going to swell up and it's going to feel rough. So by doing that water stage, it gives me a product that is going to feel just as good to the customer after they wash it as it did when they bought it. So.
What do you oil it with?
Walnut oil, mineral oil, whatever your favorite oil is. Yeah, as long as it's food safe. Tongue oil. Oiling. I have a technique I do on that too. I will just slather it on there. It's dripping. I mean, they're just soaking in oil. I put them on a cookie sheet. I stick it in the oven at about 190, 200 degrees for 30 or 40 minutes. And when you pull them out, you'll just see just the water, or the oil just dripping off of them. Once they cool, it sucks all that oil right into the wood. So what that does is it dries out a little bit of the moisture, and then as it's cooling, it wants to fill that, where the moisture was driven out, it wants to fill that back up with something, and it sucks the oil in. So it gets the oil in deeper. And
did you find that out accidentally?
I just tried it. No, I just...
It's not a normal thing to cook your spatulas.
Yeah, I just tried it. And honestly, I do the same thing with the rolling pins. They're probably not in the oven as long. I don't want to risk them warping or something. Yeah. If this worked, you would never know. But no, I don't know why I even thought of it. It just was...
We found that a 50-50 mix of citrus oil and tongue oil also penetrates the wood.
Penetrates good. But still try that heating technique. It really, you'll be amazed. You put it in the oven and it's just dripping with oil. 20 minutes later, it looks just like this. It just sucks every bit of it into the wood.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So always glad to share those things with everybody. If you guys want to see these up close, Rich, I'm going to pass one I just made and finished one. The finished one is cherry, I think. Yeah. Or silver. I had cherry and silver maple in there, and sometimes, depending on the color of the maple, it's hard to tell apart. All right, so are we good on time to do this other one? Oh, yeah.
Tim, are there any woods you don't use?
I usually use the closed grain woods, so I stay away from maples, or not maples, I use maples. I stay away from oaks and ashes and elms and, anything like that, hackberry, anything that's got an open grain. And I do that with anything I'm using in the kitchen. Just because I look at it like, you got those open pores, that's gonna get all kinds of gunk in it that you can't get back out when you're cooking and so on. So some people do use those woods for kitchen stuff, I don't. And I don't usually use walnut. You can, I see a lot of kitchen things made out of walnut, I just don't use it. I usually use maples, either hard or soft, beech, cherry, use Bradford pear, you can probably use birch. I haven't tried that one. Gum. Gum is an excellent wood for this project. Yeah, once in a while I'll throw in a popper just because it's cheap. And I have a lot of it. So, any more questions on these?
sell one of those for?
I sell these in the gallery. They're $20. In the show, I sell them for 15. I have just, you can see that whole process, and I'm talking not, you know, signing it. I'm talking just dunking it, letting it dry, resanding it, putting it, oiling it, putting it in the oven, all that. The whole process is probably 45 plus minutes for each one, and I'm getting $15 for it. So in the gallery, I can't do 60% of that, you know. So that's what I did. So basically they're $20, but at a show you get a show special price. So,
Tim?
yes.
On the 1-inch wood that you use, you could get two of them out if you make it a little longer.
Yes, yes, I've done that. So, right. So, I just too lazy to explain it. So what he's saying is if you don't have 1.25" where you're going to get both pieces out side by side, and you've already got an inch piece of wood, you can still get two out like this, and you're just getting rid of that thinner part of the wedge on both ends. So you're going to have a longer, you just have to figure out how long that blank needs to be. And I make mine 13 inches. You don't have to make them that long. You can make a 12-inch, 11-inch, 10-inch, whatever length you want. I used to make 2 lengths, and now I pretty much just make the longer one. So yeah, see how you could get that? And you could use 3/4 inch even. You just have a skinnier handle. So if all you got is, you know, a piece of 3/4 inch stock, you can still do this project. You just need to make sure you have enough width at this end to get it on those spurs. If you get it too thin, it's just going to want to split out when you're snugging it down there. So, but also remember, if you leave too much material on this end, it's a bear to sand it all away. So, gotta find that balance for you. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up.
You care about grain orientation? You care about grain orientation?
As long as it's going this way. Well, if I have a piece of wood that I can see the grains kind of going this way on it, I might lay my pattern. I might lay my pattern on it more in that direction like this to try and get as close to the direction of the grain as I can. Also, if there's a knot or some blemish here I want to get rid of, I will just move my handle to one side or the other and try to get rid of it. Because it really doesn't matter. This doesn't have to be straight down there. Yeah. So, all right. We're going to move to the bigger machine, basically because this one is just not long enough.
We don't have the blocks under. Did you need that? Or you think you can wing it?
I'll struggle through it.
Okay. 'Cause I didn't.
It's not as light as this one, but it will still move if I lean against it. All right, so there's that. Let's get that little bit of wood off of there. Find a spur drive. Sorry. All right, so I just need a spur drive and a standard revolving center on the other end. And tool rest. And on the blanks for this project, I use, I think, a 23-inch blank, 22-inch blank. And I end up removing a 1/2 inch off of each end, so I end up with a 21-inch rolling pin. And my goal on this rolling pin is I want to have a flat section wide enough to do a pie crust. So when I'm rolling out a pie crust, I get the whole thing in one go. So that's my goal. You know, you can make them shorter, longer, or don't put tapers. Some people like them a little bit bulged in the middle so that the dough is pushing out sideways as far as forward when you're rolling. So yeah, you just got to make it however fits your needs or your customer's needs. I went ahead on the table saw and made this an octagon. I cut the corners off. If I'm just doing one, I don't normally do that because I don't want to take it. It takes longer to set the saw up than it does to just get rid of it on the lathe. If I'm prepping a whole bunch, you know, 6, 7, 10, 20, whatever, I'll go ahead and knock the corners off because I know it's going to save me a lot of time in the long run. I've taken my center punch and put little holes where the middle was, so that it was easier to find. I just need to drive this in far enough that those spurs are gripping. That's pretty good. Still feel some movement in there. I think I brought my mallet.
Tim,
Yes.
this looks off center. How'd you do, because I know that you put it on there and you did.
It looks off center because the skewed end is making one side shorter than the other.
You did that when you used the sand on it.
Yeah. Optical illusion. I mean, technically it is off center, but that's just because one side's longer than the other. I don't use a rough and gouge a lot, but I'm going to use one today, because I know that's how most of you will do this. This thing is sweet. If you like rough and gouges, this thing takes the shaving off to beat all shavings, and you can really get down there quick. Let's see here. We're on forward. That's running at about 2,200. Yeah, or just a bowl gouge or a spindle gouge, anything. I'll grab my spindle gouge and show you. We'll do part with the rubbing gouge, part with the spindle gouge, and part with the skew. I'll just demonstrate all three. What I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to get rid of all the flat spots on this. I'm not paying too much attention about the diameter. I'm just trying to get rid of the flat spots. Let's put something back here. A little flat spot there, I gotta get rid of that. I'm gonna go ahead and move on down. So that was the roughing gouge. Doing the same thing with the spindle gouge. My technique's gonna be a lot different. With the roughing gouge, I'm kind of basically holding it flat and going back and forth. With the spindle gouge, actually let's put that handle over there. I'm gonna kick the handle down a lot lower. And I'm going to use the side, I've got a fingernail grind. Can you see that? Hand behind it maybe. Got a fingernail grind on that, and I'm actually going to be cutting down here, kind of on the side of that. So I'm making a slicing cut. That's going to give me a really clean surface. You can see I'm just as efficient at removing material. I can't hear you when this is running.
Is your gouge fairly perpendicular to the spindle, or are you,
I am 20 to 30 degrees, somewhere in that range, 25 maybe, with the handle kicked over. Yeah.
Basically, you're using it as a skew.
Yes. And I'm still riding the bevel. So whatever the angle of the bevel is what angle, if that answers your question, that's kind of what angle I need to have that at. So then if I do the same thing with the skew, let's grab a bigger, heavier skew here. What I find with the skew though sometimes is when I'm removing a lot of material, I'll get under the grain and splinter off splinters. Yeah, we've all done that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start on this end and work backwards. That keeps me from getting underneath big chunks of wood. If I just started here and started going across, I'm going to splinter off. Okay. So with the skew, you kind of need to roll it. You're going to make this scooping cut with it and roll it through. And I'm going to go down and just clean that up. Okay, that's far smoother than either of those two. So from this point on, it's going to be a skew project. I'm not going to use the gouge at all. I would have normally just done the whole thing with the skew in my shop. See, I got a little deep right here with the gouge, so that's going to cause me some problems. Or maybe not, it just went away. So now, like I said, my first goal was just to get rid of all the flat spots. You know, this board might have had a slight bow to it, so I'm going to need to remove more in the middle if it did. I might not have one in centered up just right. So my goal first is just to get rid of all the flat spots. Then I'll take my calipers and find where the narrowest point is. It would have just been silly to start out trying to get everything one diameter, but I don't even know what that diameter needs to be.
You did still have.
Yeah, I got some flat there. See, even with that skew, I pulled out some big chips. The grain's going just at a slight angle, I pulled out some big chips here. So I need to come back and cut this direction. Can you see those chips on me? Not very well.
Okay.
Yeah, try to get a shadow on. They're pretty deep. It's cherry. Yeah. Just about the same as soft mix wool. So I'm using the straight edge of the tool rest as my guide to just drag across here and get a nice straight cut. Oh, that cleaned it up nice, but I still have where that wood chipped out. I gotta make another cut. Well, as smooth as glass. Love it. My goal, I like to make these about 1 7/8 for the final dimension. But you know what, if they end up 1 1/4, it's not the end of the world. I don't worry too much about it. I just remove whatever I need to remove to get a good product in the end. A nice smooth surface. There's still a little chip out right there.
And you know, some customers actually prefer a smaller diameter pen.
Yeah. I like a little more weight. Yeah, but no, Dick's right. That's what I say. You gotta, whatever suits your needs as far as length, as far as the shape of it, as far as the diameter of it, whatever suits your needs. I'm not saying this is the only way. I know you make yours a little shorter, a little skinnier.
I try to wind up about the same diameter you do, but a lot of my customers want to shove them into a drawer.
Right.
Well,
You can't with this.
that will, even on a diagonal.
I do give it a nice bag. Because you're right. Even at home, I keep mine under in a lower cabinet because it doesn't fit in the drawer.
I still make mine about 18 and finish, so.
All right. I am running out of time, so let's go as quick as we can here.
You still got plenty.
Oh gosh. We don't have much show and tell.
Nope.
Alright, so I got rid of all the flats. I still have a little tear out here, but that might sand away yet, because I'm going to sand this pretty aggressively. But what I need to do is I want the same diameter the whole way down. So we're going to try and find the smallest spot. Oh, right there. there is my smallest spot. And I'm really close to that everywhere else. So I'm going to just come back up at this end and come down, just take a slight of a cut as I can off this whole thing. A little bit of a low spot right there. Shove it down and see what that looks like. Almost. Oh man, it's so close right there, it fits. Okay, I'm just going to leave that. Actually, I'm going to take a little bit off that end. This end's going to be tapered anyway, so no big deal. All right. Take a little bit off here. So I did want to show you the planing cut. I don't really need it on this one, but if you have just a very slight bump you need to get rid of, or maybe the grain's kind of going crazy and you're trying to go down here to tearing out, the planing cut is taking this curved skew. So you're cutting right in the middle, and you're going to start kind of high on the piece. You're going to come down and you're just going to slide it down until it starts to pick up a very small shaving. See that? Now I can just go back and forth. You see how light and careful I can do with that cut? So I can be really aggressive and take out a lot, or I can just take out just a smidgen. That's a really nice cut, that planing cut. If you did that with a skew that was ground in a straight line, the corners are going to dig in as you're going back and forth. So that curved grind just works really well for that. So this is pretty close, but there's still slight ups and downs. And what I do to get rid of those is, I don't know what we call this, a big sanding block, or we'll call it a sanding plane or something. But anyways, I got a block of wood that I've run through the joiner, so I know each side is perfectly straight. And I've double stuck tape on sandpaper onto it. I got, I think, 60 grit on this side and I think 100 on the other. But you can see what I'm going to do with that. I'm going to take this and I'm just going to work it back and forth. And you can see the low spots, high spots, low spots, high spots. I'm going to do that until it's all the same color and they're all gone.
Another thing you can do is if you've got carpenter's pencil, which are not much good for anything anyway.
Yeah, if you can figure out how to sharpen it.
Decide where your tapers are going to go. Don't worry about that. Between those two, the sweet spot, the working part of your pen, cover it with graphite from your, then use that.
And it'll be more contrast.
You will see the low spots.
Yes.
Because you're taking the high spots down to meet the low spots.
Right.
When all the graphite is gone, when all the pencil marks are gone, you're flat.
Right. So what Dick's doing is he's just accentuating the low spots so that they're easier to see.
Yeah, it takes 5 seconds.
Yeah, it wouldn't take long at all, right? If I was a little more careful with my diameter, this wouldn't be taking as long. See, it still doesn't take that long. Now I'm having to stand on the back edge of this. You see, anytime I get to the middle or forward, it wants to start trying to roll and it jumps around. Probably should slow it down too. Now the spot that was the lowest is still the lowest. Alright. So I do taper the ends of these, so that low spot might not even be a problem.
Product out there called Sand Devil. It's made, it's spring-loaded, hand-held, and it takes 3 by 11. Three by 21 rather. Sand belts, which if you've got it, also
Okay.
like that anyway, it does.
It's basically the same thing. Okay.
Most of us are terrible with the skew, can't get a flat line.
Yeah. Oh, it's not easy. I struggle with it. So what I did, I just marked the 1/2 inch I'm going to get rid of on the ends and where my tapers are going to start. And that taper is just a loose starting point. I'm going to taper with the chisel, but then when I hit it with the sandpaper, it's going to round that over. So my taper is actually going to be back further than that mark. What I did is I came in a 1/2 inch, because I know I want to get rid of a 1/2 inch, and I came in another 3 inches. So, as always, before I get too far along, I want to get rid of my waste material, so I can more easily envision, what my final shape is. So this is the filling cut, where I'm just taking the skew, I'm bringing it in kind of high until it starts to ground, and I'm going to push it in and raise the handle until I almost hit my center. But that's just a quick, efficient cut. It lets me get rid of a lot of material right away. Now to get deeper, I'm going to have to go to the long point of it, just like I did on the handle with the spatula. I'm going to leave about 3/8 of an inch to get enough material. Repeat that. I'm going to taper this end a little bit. So I didn't really worry too much about that diameter, I just made it look good. And then I'm going to measure that and try to do the same thing on the other end. Actually, a little bit small. So I'll go back to this other end and take a little more off this end. Perfect. Okay. Now, I'm going to sand on this middle section some more. I just wanted to get rid of that because I didn't really need to sand it. It was just kind of in the way. I still have a little, where is it? A little remnant of that tear out. There's somewhere. This is that low spot I haven't got rid of yet. But I thought maybe I got rid of all that tear out.
I think you sanded it out.
Yeah. All right. So I want to continue a little bit more with the that 60 grit, and then I'm going to switch to the 100 grit.
maybe a little bit more than 3 years.
I was pushing so hard I broke it off.
Yeah.
Well, other than that, our friend Richard would be real proud.
Yeah, so that kind of ends that demo, guys, because I can't really get it. So anyhow, I'll just kind of walk through it. So then I was going to switch to the 100 grit and smooth that down a bit more. And then I was going to go to this really stiff paper. Maybe do some, this is like 120. I'd have probably gone to like 150 or 180. And the stiff paper lets me get on here without sanding grooves into it. Because if I'm using anything that's maybe thin or flexible and I'm just putting my hand on it, I'm going to sand more in one spot than I am another. So I like to get up there with really almost as wide as I can get, something like this, and I like to roll it like this and just get it up there and kind of go across that and sand it down. I'll go clear up to 400 grit like that. I would take a heavier grit, like maybe some 120 or 150, and I'd kind of transition this transition here. I'd smooth that over a little bit more on both sides. And in the end, these ends I do exactly like I did the end of the spatula. I will part it off, leaving a little nipple sticking out. Actually, I don't even do that, come to think of it. I usually just go to my bandsaw, and I just knock that off on the bandsaw. And then I take my little 3-inch sanding disc I use on the bowls, on a power sander, and I'll just sit here and again I'm turning it with my left hand as I'm just kind of rounding that over a little bit and smoothing off that nipple that's left after I cut it. And then it's just a bunch of hand sanding on both ends. But that's pretty much the rolling pin. I do the same thing with the water, except that my sink's not that big. So I use a wet towel, wet rag. I just dunk a dish rag in the hot water, wipe the thing down, and actually, I got ahead of myself. What I like to do, if I've got other projects going on and I don't need the lathe, while it's still on the lathe, I'll sand it to 400 grit, and I'll take that wet rag and wet it down and just let it dry. And then I come back and sand it with 400 grit again on the lathe, instead of doing it by hand. It's not saving you that much time. So anyhow, yeah, pretty much the same thing. So that's how I get it as straight as possible, humanly possible, is the big sanding block. Or, the tool. This was free, except for the double stick tape. And I can usually peel the sandpaper off maybe 3 times and use the same tape over and over again. And after a while, it doesn't stick very well. So,
You ever tried Velcro?
no, because I want a really unforgiving surface, and Velcro is going to have some cushion to it. It would probably work, but I just think we have a little cushion under it. And so if you had a bump or a dip, it may not take it out.
That's why that's
Yeah. So, anyhow, this works for me. So, any questions, guys? Sorry I didn't get it finished. But, I could put it back on and make it a little shorter, but it'd be really hard to get it just perfect.
No, you're good.
So, and we're back on time, I think.
Yeah, we're doing all right.
Do you oil that and put it in the oven?
I do. I usually oil them. I put them in the oven for probably 20 minutes or so, not real long. Get them good and hot, and then I pull them out and let them sit. It just soaks that oil right in. That's so, experiment with that. Maybe don't try it on a rolling pin or something, on something smaller that you spent less time on, and make sure it works for you.